Welcome to the Sharp Way Show. I'm so happy you're giving me a chunk of your evening. It is a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So guess what? You got to look at me. That's just kind of the rules. I don't make the rules. Actually, I do make the rules. I make the rules and enforce the rules because I'm clearly an authoritarian. Joking, obviously. I'm happy that you have you with me today. I do have a very interesting guest. I have a guest who's going to talk to you about some things that you might not have thought were okay, like betting on elections. And like, I don't know, AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's going to, I don't know, rule the world or not. We'll find out. The man himself, he's going to be talking to us. He is the executive producer for Stossel. He is the creator of electionbettingodds.com, and he writes for Maximum Truth at Substack. The man himself, Maxim Lott. How are you, sir?
Hi, Larry. I'm great. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And if you want to follow Maxim, you can head over to Twitter and you can follow him on Maxim Lott. And if you are listening to this, that is MIXIMLOTT. So don't get that wrong. It's double T. That gives it the extra T for extra special. And his Substack is Maximum Truth at Substack. Not minimum. It's Maximum Truth. He doesn't play games. So I have to ask you, if I could, Maxim, the idea of betting on elections. It seems very human and it seems wrong. Isn't it both?
Definitely. Yeah. People have been betting on things for thousands of years and betting on elections too for decades. Recently, it's gone online, and that's kind of this new innovation you see almost like stock markets in elections.
But isn't it actually illegal in America to bet in elections? Isn't it like against the law?
Yeah, kind of. So there is a rule against bet. Yeah, it's a gray area. There's a rule against betting on any kind of game or contest in the U.S. But the government has made exceptions for a couple websites. One of them is predicted.com. One of them is a tiny one running out of a university in Iowa where you have to mail your stuff in to them. They've given them waivers to this rule. So Americans have been betting on these sites for like almost a decade now, and it's been going fine. Unfortunately, the government's changing its mind, and they're ordering Predicted to shut down in about 1 month from now, which sucks, I think.
Okay, but then how is your site okay, right? If Predicted site is bad, how come they aren't coming after you?
Yeah, so electionbettingodds.com, it's kind of a journalistic site. I aggregate all the odds from Predicted and also from abroad. And so even after Predicted gets shut down, we'll just keep reporting what people in England are betting.
Got it.
And yeah.
Okay, so you can't, so if I go to electionbettingodds.com, I can't actually bet there.
Right. We have links to all the sites where you can, especially if you don't live in the U.S.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but it takes them all in live and tells you quickly. You know, right now it says DeSantis is favored
to be
for 2024. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's ahead of Trump now. So
look at that. He's ahead of Biden, but I thought Biden was going to run him and beat them all. He's ahead of him too?
Yeah. He is. DeSantis has got 26% chance of being the next president. Biden's at 22, and Trump's at 15. So they've all got a shot. But
wow,
yeah, DeSantis.
All right, so I have to ask, right? If you go to like Vegas or something, right, or whatever is the place you're going to bet, the odds are affected by the number of people who bet, right? The amount of money that goes in and the people who bet, that affects the odds. But we in politics assume that it's all by polling or opinion or past voting record or something. How do the bookies, the election bookies, how do they deal with the odds? Is it polling? Is it betting? Is it both?
Yeah, you know, these websites we track, they're really like stock markets. It's like you, Larry, can go on there. I can go on there. I can say, I think DeSantis is going to win. Someone else says no. And when we both make that trade, we like a share gets created, basically a betting contract between us. And then if I change my mind, I can sell that share to you. And now you own a share of DeSantis will win. So it's like a stock market, really, which is cool because it's like decentralized. In the past, you would have to rely on a bookie who's like, hey, I can give you odds 3/4 and then give it to someone else at 60%. But yeah, here it's pretty streamlined, and it's a market, and it's very libertarian in a way. It's like relying on the market to tell us what's going to happen in the future, and it has a good track record too.
So I guess the question then becomes, how accurate is this? Or is it just for fun? Or does it actually predict things? Is it as predictive as me, right? I'm probably 50-50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it like me 50-50? Or is it better, worse, or is it not connected? Is there any correlation, or is it just totally not connected?
Yeah, it's there's a strong correlation. So if you go to election betting odds, we have a little track record page up there, and it's been going since 2015. So we've tracked more than 700 different like candidates since that time, in many different states, and we can graph it like, all right, so when we predict someone has a 30 to 40% chance, how often do they actually win? And it turns out it's 30 to 40% of the time.
Oh,
And so it's not perfect. Like you can draw this line. It doesn't quite match the line. There are a couple places it's off, but it's very good, very accurate. And so there've been a couple high-profile misses, including the Senate this last year, which they just screwed that up. But on average, it tells you what's going to happen.
I looked at the odds when it came to New York State, right? Because
Mm,
it made sense to me that Hochul was going to win no matter what.
right.
I predicted 5 or 10 points. I was
Mm,
correct. I'm not
mm,
always right, but in that case, I was.
yeah.
But the reason why I felt comfortable is, I travel the state. I meet the people. I don't
Right.
go. I don't go fundraiser to fundraiser. I go meet people in diners and breweries. So I had heard what people
Hmm.
were saying and who was motivated and who wasn't motivated, right? So that was my
Uh-huh.
guess. And when I saw that your site agreed with me, I was like, okay, this might be
Mm.
real because you agree with me. Anyway, but that was one thing where in this case, I had inside information, if that makes any sense, right? I had
Hmm.
on the ground
Totally.
information in this case. So I'm glad that I used it because I talked about it before the election. People kept saying, well,
Mm.
the Trafalgar poll, he's
Right.
winning. And in the Gallup poll, he's getting crushed. And I said, go to the odds, go to the bookies, go to them. What are they saying? They agree with me. I think I'm right.
Yeah.
That is how I did it.
Yeah. No, that was smart. And for me too, I don't always agree with the bookies, but I always take that as the starting point. Um,
Yes.
and then if you want to disagree, you should have a good reason, just like the stock market. Like you can say, oh, I think Microsoft's undervalued because they're investing in AI. That's a valid view, but you have to have some view. You can't just be like, this seems like a nice fuzzy company, so I'm going to buy
Right,
it.
right, 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 right. But okay, but I got to go one place else though now because look, I'm a New Yorker. Buffalo is in the Super Bowl, maybe. New York Giants could be in the
Hmm.
Super Bowl, maybe. Right, so two of my teams could be in the Super Bowl, still possible. Um,
Yep.
you predict that too. Can this predict anything, or is this really specifically? Could this predict? Can it only predict specific outcomes? Like there's a contest of two people, therefore this is the odds of this winning or this team winning, or can it also predict something like, will there be a war next year? Right? Will somebody win the lottery? Can it do other things?
Yeah, absolutely. It can predict pretty much anything. And by the way, I hate to break it to you, but the New York Giants, it's a 3% chance right now.
I
But
saw.
hey,
I don't like that.
it's still a chance.
No,
um,
I'm gonna disagree with that just cause. No.
yeah, but yeah, it can predict almost anything. One thing we have up on the site is the Russian 2024 election, and of course they don't
Hmm.
have real elections in Russia, but Putin's at 57% chance of winning, and this just means like, well, there's a 40% chance that he'll be pushed out in some kind of coup or by his close advisors, or get quit or die, or who knows. Um, but it gives
So
you a
what you're
sense of how
saying
the
is
war's going.
in that what you just said is that's the percentage you believe the odds that he'll become president.
Hmm.
You're not
Right,
actually predicting whether or not he'll win the election or not.
right, right.
Got it.
Whether
That's a
he'll
distinction.
exactly, yeah, it is. Yes.
Yes,
So in
an
Russia,
important
definitely got
one.
to be aware of that. Yeah,
Yes. So then
but it gives you a sense of how the war is going.
if it can predict anything in theory, right?
Yeah.
This goes to the next piece which I'm worried about, which you were clearly worried about also because you recently wrote an article on this, and that is artificial intelligence, AI, bots, things of that sort, right? Where we can't tell if it's a person or not. So if I am a nefarious character, and I know that people are looking at electionbettingodds.com and they're caring about, whether or not the Buffalo Bills will win the Super Bowl, or whether the Giants will win the Super Bowl, and I want to make some money, can I, you send some AI bots out or use AI to affect the odds to make some cash? Is that a thing that can happen?
Well, that's a good question. Definitely in the future, as AI gets better, it's a thing that could happen. So far, I think in order to manipulate the market, you have to put money on the line. So you're potentially losing this money. You're also, for smart people, if you see suddenly Zeldin for governor of New York, they're saying Zeldin 90% to win. You're like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. And right. The smart traders can start making money betting against the manipulator. So there is this kind of natural equilibrium in markets. Now,
but
AI.
The point you brought up though here, right? And if by the way, guys, if you like what we're talking about here, if you're enjoying it, then do me a favor, follow Maxim on Twitter, Maxim Lott. If you're listening, that's Lott on Twitter, or check out his Substack at Maximum Truth at Substack. Also, if you want to help me out and you like what you're hearing, then click the like button. You can do it. Click that button. It does matter. We can get past all those algorithms, which is a form of AI, right? You can get past that, right, by clicking that like button. So click it like 8 times. I'm kidding. But click it so that we can make sure we can move forward. But speaking of AI, right, part of what moves a stock, you said it's like a market, right, is people talking about it, people writing about it. If I could get AI, I'm making this up, to do 3,000 tweets a day or something about how the Giants are going to win or whatever, is that going to affect anything else? Obviously, stock, we saw that with GameStop, right? With GameStop, that the talk, the chatter is what brought up the value. Well, now I got that Chat GPT, right? Did I get it right?
Yes.
What if everyone just says, hey, talk about how Maxim Lott is the greatest writer of all time, right? So all of a sudden now everyone's putting it out there and everyone thinks you're going to win the next Peabody because there's so many of them.
I think AI is very underrated by most people in that, it's amazing what it can already do. It can write essays that would pass a high school teacher. It can write computer code. I've already used it a couple times for help with my website coding. And it can do astroturfing like you're talking about. So I think AI is very new. They just released ChatGPT a month ago to the public. And so people have not yet had time to use it for nefarious things like astroturfing, but it's going to happen and it's going to suck. And places like Twitter, Facebook, they're going to try to fight it, maybe with their own AI. So it's going to be a very interesting
AI versus AI battles.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting chapter ahead. And it could influence traders. I will say, though, I think markets are going to be relatively robust. I don't know, compared to the New York Times falling for AI created astroturfing or the market, I'd give the edge to the market, but they're certainly not infallible.
So let me go back, if I could, back to the betting odds thing. It's still something that I love. I'm worried about something could be affected. Why did you bother to make this? There were lots of things you could have chosen to do. You said, let's make this thing. Why?
Yeah, so John Stossel and I, we first covered betting markets back in 2007. And back then there was a site called InTrade based in Ireland, and everyone was trading on there, including Americans. And then the government said, hey, you can't take Americans, and they shut them down. So we were we'd been citing them Obama's going to win, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And suddenly we couldn't cite them anymore because they were gone. And I found these other websites around the world, but they're just really hard to read. Like they're made for people who like spend all day gambling. And I was like, I'm a reporter. I want to share with people what's going to happen. And so I want to make it clear. So I have my website. It's just big percents, like DeSantis, 26%.
Yep.
Boom, you know what's going on. So I was like, I kept having to manually translate the odds. Eventually, I was like, I'm going to write a computer program to do this. And then I was like, I'm going to share it with everyone. And so that's election betting.
Too bad you didn't have chat GPT back then. It would have been faster.
It would have
been easier.
Would have saved me a lot of time.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very interesting. And it's a way of saying that you can trust the market over the polling, because most people don't know that polling is very, I don't know, what's the word? Subjective. Maybe that's a better word of view. Very subjective, right? The person who buys the poll controls the poll, right? That's kind of how it works, right? So I buy the poll, I say to push poll and put some bad stuff in it. I decide who gets, who you talk to, blah, blah. So of course that happens.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I've done it. I've run for office. I've run push polls. In a push poll, I poll at 25%. Right? I can literally create a poll. That's a poll done by an actual company where I show up at 25%. Now that's a complete bogus push poll because I'm not polling at 25%, but I could make that happen if I wanted to.
So I'm curious, how does that work? The poll, it says, "Oh, Larry Sharp's this amazing guy. Would you consider voting for him?" Or how would a push poll work?
Sure, we've done it. We'll do things like this. We will poll people and say, "Did you know that Kathy Hochul wants to take away your gas stove so you cannot cook easily in your home? Yes or no?" Right? That kind of thing. Did you know that Lee Zeldin wants to take away a woman's right to choose to make sure you have to leave the state to get an abortion? Right? Stuff like that. Now, that's two sides that people either way are going to be angry. Right? So I got left and right both pissed off now. Then I go, did you know Larry Sharp wants to let you be the coolest guy you could ever be in the whole wide world? Then I ask, if the election was tomorrow, who would you vote for? Well, if I do that, I'm at 25%.
Right. Got to get the media's attention somehow.
Yes. If I do that. But the problem is, what most people don't know is they'll give you data, but they won't give you questions. If they won't give you the questions they asked, it's a push poll. If they give you the questions, it wasn't a push poll. So yes, in a regular poll, I poll at 6%. In a push poll, I can go to 25. So yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, big difference.
Behind the
I'm
scenes
yapping away.
info there. Yeah.
Yes. But the goal of a push poll, I think, is a little bit off topic, but is to see what your current cap is, if that makes any sense. Right?
Yeah.
So that's that was my current cap. If I had gotten my message out to every single person, I could have come in at 25%. Right? That was a push poll shows your cap.
Makes sense.
Anyway, yapping away. I do want to move on from that, though. I love the idea. I want to go back now to the AI part.
Yeah.
I used to always say, I mean, your recent Substack post made me angry because two things that made me angry. Number one, people always ask me about AI. I've done many stories on it, talked about it in my show often. And I said, we don't have to be that worried. And they say, why? It's going to take all our jobs. And I would say, it's technology. It's fine, right? A horse was technology at one point, right? So is a horse better than a man? Yeah. But what's better than a horse? The man with the horse, right? So we'll be fine. We'll control AI and we'll be fine. I've always said that, right? I used to use a chess thing because I played chess as a kid, right? And early in the 70s and 80s, when the first chess computers came out, I used to have to beat them, right? I could beat the early chess computers. Now I can't beat a chess computer anymore.
Sure.
No way. I can't do it. But back in the early 80s, I could beat a chess computer. Now I can't do it now.
Yeah, even the grandmasters can't now. Yeah.
And that's my point. You brought up the point that it used to be that a grandmaster with AI could beat AI. But you just said that now AI even beats that.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did these studies, and 10, 15 years ago, the best humans with like computer assistants, they could beat just the pure AIs because they could add a little common sense to the AI. And now that's no longer the case. And they've also done similar things on face recognition. It used to be that a human could guide the AI a little and use most of it, but say, no, that's really not that person. You're missing this one weird thing. But now the AI just alone is better than the people are more likely to get, false, to find a weird thing it's actually still that person. So the AI is just
Wow.
better now, and that is worrying because it suggests humans could be obsolete there. But we'll see. But
Yeah, I did not like that. When I read, I was like,
yeah,
I want him to be wrong. Like, I really
right.
did not want you to be right on that.
Yeah.
I really didn't. Guys, if you're watching this on Twitter, then do me a favor, retweet this right now. If you like what you're hearing, if you think it's fun and exciting, let people know. Retweet it right now so people can see it. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, you can go to Super Chats if you want to. Go to Super Chats, support the show via Super Chats if you like. It helps me out tremendously. Put your stuff up there, we'll pop it up. Even if it's dumb, I don't care. I'll put it up either way because it's Super Chat. So I'll do it either way. So if you can, please do that. But then there was one more part.
I just did it right now, by the way. I just did that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But there's one more piece that this is personal for me. That one was a little bit personal. This one's even more personal. You showed in your last article that there was a guy who did a test with AI on a game called Diplomacy. And if you're listening or watching this now, you don't know what that game is. It's an old game, probably from, 70 years ago, give or take. It's a while ago. And it's basically similar to a war game, but it's not a war game. It's similar to a war game in that there's a map of about maybe 1900s Europe and all the kingdoms that are there. And the goal is to capture enough resource centers, but no country on its own can do it. It is impossible. The game is rigged. No individual country by itself can do it. You must have allies. The only way you can win the game is by having allies. And how do you do that? You physically talk to each other. If you're in person, it can be in parts of the room. It can be done via email, done via chat. Back in the day, we used to do it via mail. It didn't matter. Literally writing letters to each other. Doesn't matter, whatever you would do. And then once you all write back and forth, you tell me what you're going to do. You then submit your orders for all of your units on the field. And they're all released at the same time. Some people are lying. Some people tell the truth. It's all about diplomacy. When do you ally? When do you not ally? It's about influence. I like this so much, this game I used to play. I used to cross the country and go to tournaments. That's how much I enjoyed this game. And I actually won in 1999. I won Best Austria at DipCon. It was in Ohio at the time. So yes, I still remember. So I love the game. And you showed an experiment to where the AI was able to do well in this game, which is just talking, influence, and diplomacy. And that blew my mind that it was able to do that. That was something we never thought AI could negotiate.
Right. I play this game too, by the way. I love it. So we should play sometime. But
there we go. Yes.
I like to call it Risk without the dice. If people played that game.
Yes.
So
I have by the way, I have the original game with the wooden pieces.
Oh, wow.
I still have those,
cool.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, in order to take a country, it depends on whether you can convince someone to support you in the attack, and that's how you decide whether you take it. And so, like you said, it's all negotiation. And this actually is what made me think, wow, okay, AI is going to do more than I thought. Because, yeah, so they created an AI that it can play this game. It talks with the human players. You can read its chats with them. And you can't tell who's the AI. Like, it's learned to talk like a human. And it's like, hey,
Yes.
man, sorry you lost Venice there. Like, maybe I can help you. And that's the AI. And so it's learned how humans naturally talk.
It even used abbreviations. It blew my mind.
Right.
It used abbreviations. Like, for those who don't know, St. Petersburg, the abbreviation is STP. And it used the abbreviation that, like, diplomacy people know. If you're not a diplomacy player, you have no idea what that means. But if you're a diplomacy player, you know that. So it knows the jargon is, I guess, my point. Like, it knows jargon of there are very few people across the world who play diplomacy. And to know that jargon is a very specific jargon to know. And that also blew my mind.
Yeah. And of course, they trained this AI on like thousands of games that humans had played. So it was able to crib off of that. It didn't have to invent this from scratch, and that's why it works. But still, it's amazing that the AI can see, okay, I need to take this country. I need to convince this player to help me, and then like put a human sentence together, and it wins the games. It was beat 90% of humans in this pool that they put it in. So it's
It's
not like
insane.
100. Yeah, it's insane. So it's not quite at the chess level where it just beats all humans, but it's like 90%, and it's pretty scary. I mean, right now it's the winning general in the board game, but you can imagine 20 years from now it being the winning general in like real life. That's scary.
Well, there is the next piece, right? If it already can. Well, let me touch two parts. I guess the first part is you say it's kind of taking from other things. So what it's doing is new, but it's not new, right? Like it's creating it's saying, hey, I need to whatever take Venice or win this chess game or write this article that someone said, and it's creating something that is new. It's different, right? It is its own idea or however, but it's not new because it's taking it from somebody else.
Right.
How does that
Yeah,
work?
yeah. I mean, it is currently completely dependent on like looking at human output. And it has just a huge database, billions of web pages and books and all this stuff to look through. So it's sort of like Google on steroids almost.
So then can I do the opposite, right? I asked about AI affecting betting odds, right?
Mhm.
So then can't we as humans affect the AI? Meaning if we create so much content that leans a certain way, wouldn't the AI, like the AI doesn't know what's true and not true or what's right and what's not wrong.
Right,
If
right.
literally, I don't know, a billion people said, we're going to write that, I don't know, ants are mammals, right? And if we start writing that ants are mammals, then isn't the AI going to assume that an ant is a mammal, even though it's not, because so many of us wrote that? Can we then influence the AI?
Yeah, I mean, you can. The issue is, it requires a large chunk of society to be trying to influence the AI rather than just say what
Not
they
if
would
we,
normally.
not if we all have AI to do it. This goes to AI
True,
war.
true. Yeah, that's true. So,
Yes,
yeah, it's
AI
going to
to
get
AI war.
interesting.
Each AI
Right,
is trying to out influence the other AI.
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the AI needs some database, and right now it's, everything out there. It's not very selective. So,
So
yeah,
if
you're
only
right.
we'd have enough people that would just write that Larry Sharpe as the Galactic Overlord, we could make that happen.
Yeah,
that's,
I
that's
mean,
what it is.
it's true. Like, yeah, if you get like a scholarly paper, for example, saying that, the AI could very well like repeat that as an answer.
Exactly. Well, Larry Sharpe's the Galactic Overlord, so let's just do what he says. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So let me grab a super chat if I could. Joseph says, is most AI secure, like the intelligence in driverless cars? A security compromise could have catastrophic results. It's a good question, Maxim. Do you know
Yeah.
if there is security around that? Is it easy to influence an AI or to take over one? Or I mean, I don't know.
Well, the thing is, the AIs are so complex within themselves. So they're just algorithms upon algorithms, and even their own creators don't really understand why necessarily they output a certain thing. And it's so complex, they actually cannot trace back. Like if they want to say, why did it do this? They can guess, but they cannot actually go into their computer and say, oh, it's because of this one thing and this thing. They actually can't do
Wow.
that. So it's pretty crazy how complex it is. And so as far as influencing it, you can influence it in the way that you just said by changing the data that it's reading. Um, and that would be kind of a fairly public way of influencing it. As far as hacking, because of the complexity, it's not so clear what you would do if you hacked into OpenAI, like how you would actually change the AI. They've put filters on the AI. So if you ask it a too controversial question, it'll just tell you that's controversial. I can't talk about that.
Got it.
And you could imagine a hacker putting one of these filters on. Always say this, never say this.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's not really AI. It's just putting a patch over the AI. So I don't
Got it.
see a huge risk of that.
There we go. Joseph, I hope that answered your question. And thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Every little bit counts to move this show forward. I appreciate it. So I guess the next piece becomes, if AI can program itself in theory, isn't this like literally the Terminator? Remember the movie The Terminator from the 80s where Skynet decides, the AI comes online and decides, you know what? Humans are the problem. And we're gonna, and we're gonna create Terminators to kill all the humans. And, AI is the ruler of the earth or something. I mean, aren't we creating Skynet? Aren't we doing that?
Yeah. It sounds like sci-fi.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was right after all.
Right. More and more of my smartest friends have been saying, this looks really plausible that something like that could happen in 20, 30 years. And I've started to get on the wagon that like, yeah, I can see how that would happen given how powerful we see this is. Doesn't mean it will happen. And we'll have humans with AIs and kind of good AIs and people trying to prevent this. So I'm optimistic, but there's definitely a danger there. And, I'm actually right now for my Substack, I'm writing a post about global warming. And the EPA is trying to predict the cost of global warming going out to 2300, 300 years from now. So they're saying, well, because of this cost 200-300 years from now, we need to give up gas stoves, whatever, today. And it doesn't make as much sense when you start to think about things like AI. It's like, hey, 100 years from now, the world could be totally different. AI might have wiped this out, or we might not have any problems left because they'll have solved them all. So it's like, should we really give up as much today when we think about these things?
Well, you've just brought that up, right? What happens when, I'm going back to your betting odds thing, which is why I like bringing it together, right? AI is going to start thinking about odds too, right? It's going to start doing the same thing. And this goes back to my Skynet thing, right? At one point, AI goes, what are the odds of these humans surviving past so-and-so, right? I mean, it's going to bet and go, yeah, humans, that's like 10, cockroaches, that's like 100%. But humans, we're like at 19% or something. So are they going to go, who should be the overlords? The roaches. Right? Is it going to do that? I mean, so I do worry about that, and I'm with you. But there's a second piece. If it can predict, right, can it also defend? Right? So if it knows that X is going to happen, can it then defend against X and say, like in chess, you defend in chess, right? You know the attack is going to come, you defend, right? In diplomacy, who could backstab you, you defend. Can it go, whatever, climate change is going to kill us all. Here's how you defend. And if that's true, why do we care about 2300? I think your point's right in the money. Right. AI is going to tell us, if we would eat the bugs, then we'd all be good or whatever, right? They're going to tell us we're supposed to be eating bugs, right? And that's what the supposed to do. We're going to be eating bugs or whatever. So eat the bugs and the world's saved or whatever. Should we be worried about that?
Well, yeah, I think you're right that they likely will be able to be used in that positive way of solving problems and looking at the odds saying, hey, this is the big problem that we're facing. What can we do to make that less likely? Hopefully it won't be eating bugs. It'll be nuclear fission or something. But
I like that one better. I'm with you. I like the fission one. Let's do that one. I'm with you. So yes. So, but the thing it brings up though also is a lot of jobs are going to go away, right? I mean, that seems obvious, right? It was happening with manufacturing decades ago. It's going to start happening, in a lot of other writing jobs and clerks and things like that. It's going to happen. So we're going to have to start worrying about ourselves. So this is my segue into my sponsor, which are the advocates for self-government. See, that was good. That was impressive. Moved it right into that, right? The advocates for self-government are already on board. No AI there yet, maybe one day, but not right now. Instead, what I want you to do is when you have a moment, head over to the advocates.org and take one of their tests. They have many of them, right? They have the human respect test. They have the world's smallest political quiz. They also have a bunch of surveys on things like monetary policy, foreign policy, COVID lockdowns, all those pandemic responses, all the things you can imagine. There are surveys there. Please take them. And when you take them, do me one more favor. share your results. If you share your results, other people will see it. They will take it too, and we'll start more conversations. You've watched this show. You see what I do. You know I'm all about better conversations. I'm about actually having people on this show who disagree, who think we're nuts, who think we're awesome, and everything in between, so that we can have conversations to try to solve problems. Maybe we won't need the AI. But in any case, still take it and do what it does matter. It supports the show, and it's free, right? Costs you nothing. They do ask you for your email. If you like an organization like the Advocate for Self-Government, who is trying to get more people to be more comfortable with self-governing, then give them your email. They'll send you an email probably once a month talking about what they're doing, things they're trying to achieve. They'll do that. If you don't have to give your email. You can still share it. You'll get your results and still share it. The email is a request, not a requirement. If you like the organization, please do it. Thank you so much for supporting the show. So sorry, Maxim, I had to, keep my sponsors happy.
Oh, so, of course. With AI, your viewers might find it interesting. Like anyone can go to openai.com and try out ChatGPT. And I think most people will be blown away by, you can say, hey, write me a 500-word essay about Spanish-American War. They'll give you a good essay on it. And you can test it with tougher questions too. And it's pretty good.
I love that. So you actually said, though, and people have been, if I remember, I saw it either on Twitter or it might have been in your Substack. I don't remember where it was, but someone was talking about the idea that programmers have been using this free OpenAI to basically do the beginnings and the skeleton of their programming.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to save hours and hours of work.
Yeah, absolutely. I myself used it the other day. I wanted like a map key that like went from a gradient from green to red. And, I could do this in Adobe Photoshop, and it would take me like 30 minutes. I'm not like an expert artist. So I just wrote, write me a computer program that creates like a rectangle going from red to green gradient. And that would also take me like hour plus if I were trying to code it. And it did it in like 30 seconds. I just plugged it in, it worked. And it's a lot. It's like 40 lines of code to create this box with different colors. And
wow.
Yeah. So,
but have you ever read the book The Positronic Man? They made a movie. Oh God, who was the comedian? The comedian who passed away, committed suicide. Robin Williams. He did a movie called Centennial Man, which was based off of the book The Positronic Man. And in this book, science fiction, they create an android, and he has a positronic brain, which is basically AI, right? They create AI in this android's brain, and they're trying to say, is this life? Is it a human being? Because it looks like one, it acts like one. Is it? And what they ask it is, this is similar to what you're talking about now, and this book's decades old. They ask it to make a piece of furniture, right? So it doesn't have to sleep. It's an android. It just carves up furniture. Mm-hmm. So it carved up a piece of furniture that was an original piece. And they went, whoa, okay. Did this just make art? That was the concept. Did it just make art or not? Right? Huh. And they're like, wait a minute. He didn't copy something and make a chair. He carved out a separate thing. And they went, oh, huh. And he goes to court to petition for his humanity in the book. And in the movie too, I think he does. The movie was terrible. The book was better, obviously. But the concept was he goes to court to prove his humanity. And they keep kind of denying him and going, well, you can't be, but how do you define life? So he decides in the book, he wants to be alive. He wants to be human. So he literally designs organs, which he doesn't need. He designs organs, puts them in his own body so that he must eat to survive.
Wow.
Right? So he does this. Now, what happens is in the book, people are now living to be 200 years old because he's creating artificial organs for everybody. This guy is creating, or this androids make. So he goes to court once, and his lawyer's like, "How can you say he's not valuable? The lung you have right now, Your Honor, is his lung. He made the lung for you. Okay. You'd be dead if it wasn't for him." So that concept to me, I'm sorry, I went long. I apologize, Maxim. But this whole thing in my head comes to: at what point is the AI alive? At what point does it believe it's alive? At what point do we when is the singularity? When does it become self-aware and murder us all?
Right.
Right? When does that
Right.
happen?
Right. Right. That's a good question. As far as when it's alive, no one can agree on this. I've read lots of things on it. There's no consensus that I can see. Some people think consciousness just comes down to knowledge moving in a certain way. And so it doesn't matter if it's happening in a computer or in a human brain. My intuition says that there's something about how we're wired, like the way the neurons are shaped. I don't know, that is creating the human experience, and that you cannot just replicate that in AI. That's just my gut. I don't know. And so I would worry actually about AIs that look human, that act human, that we have empathy towards, but they're actually just dead inside. I would
Yes.
worry about that. So
Yes.
yeah, but they'll sure feel human, and
We'll
so
literally
that's
create an army of sociopaths.
right.
We're
Yeah,
literally going to create an
absolutely.
army of sociopaths.
Right.
Yes.
So that's worrying.
Is what
By
because
the way,
Brian brings up a valid point. Brian says
Mm.
even worse than training AI to not answer is training one to lie. Right? I mean, I think that's a critical piece, right? Once you start training, and this is my whole point is what's that? We're doing sci-fi here, right? I think it was Isaac Asimov who said, if I remember it right, he said, technology that's advanced enough from any civilization is the same as magic. Right? It's just magic, right? And I feel like we right now in our world, we live in a world of magic and we're okay with it. Right? When I was a kid, showing what a geek I was, like diplomacy, I also played Dungeons and Dragons. Right? So in Dungeons and Dragons world, magic is like the thing. Like we're not, it's a thing. I think we're almost there in our own world. So when people put in, the chat GPT and the thing pops up, it's like, yep, that's my genie, right? There's my magic, done. But the worst part is now, because we're alone, to Brian's point, do we trust the genie? And maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, he makes a good point about training AIs to lie. And, people who are thinking about AI safety are worried about that. And we are a little bit training AIs to lie. For example, in diplomacy, that AI certainly needs to know how to deceive players. And also, when we tell the AI, hey, you might have found, someone's asking you who's stronger, men or women, but just tell them no one knows, because that's the politically correct answer. And just the idea, you're right, like that could get out of hand if the AI starts.
Absolutely. Brian just corrected you. My chat is good. It was Arthur C. Clarke who said it. Thank you. I thought it was Isaac Asimov. It was Arthur C. Clarke. I knew one of the greats said it. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Patty says, should we all know Captain Kirk's the trick about the Kobayashi Maru? All right, now we're geeking out on sci-fi. That was Star Trek, and it was repeated once actually in the movies, but it actually it happened twice in the movies. So about the Kobayashi Maru. For those of you who don't know, the Kobayashi Maru, for those who aren't as geeky as me and Patty in Star Trek, that is what every Starfleet officer has to go through. It's called the no-win situation, right? You have to survive a no-win situation. How do you deal with a no-win? When no matter what you do, you will fail. How do you deal with it? Well, Captain Kirk passed the Kobayashi Maru, which is impossible. It is a no-win situation. How did he do it? He reprogrammed the computer so that there was a way to win. So he cheated to to do that. And that's what she's talking about. And this goes with Brian saying, and my worry, we're all on the same page here, Maxim. We're worried about the AI lying or cheating or whatever, and us as now mere, mortals, right? Just, GPT's the magic box. We're just mere mortals, us believing whatever it tells us.
Right. I'm worried as well. And definitely, already on Google, people type it in, and I do this too, and we just see the top results, and it's like, okay, so-and-so was born in this year, or the GDP is X. And I'm not going to double check it most of the time. With AI, people are going to get in that habit as well. And it's not going to be healthy if things ever get out of
Yes,
hand.
absolutely. So I guess,
Yeah.
but the thing I also think about is people like lawyers, right? As an
Mm.
example, you're a lawyer. Most lawyers aren't the super cool trial lawyer who goes in and, gets the murderer off, whatever. That's not what most lawyers do. Most lawyers spend a whole lot of time writing stuff, right? That's a huge part of what most lawyers do. They write a whole lot of stuff and they put out forms and they put out briefs and they respond to blah, 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 right? And if ChatGPT can do it, what are you a lawyer for?
Yeah. And by the way, just to clear my name, I'm not a lawyer. You said you're a lawyer. I think you were speaking, metaphorically. Uh,
Yes, I meant metaphorically. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I didn't mean you. Sorry, I apologize. Yes, I mean,
No.
should
Uh,
if you were a lawyer, I'd be scared if I were you. I mean,
yeah.
I'm
Right.
you need to, if you're going to be a lawyer, in my view, right? Where my head is, you got to be a trial lawyer now. If you're not a trial
Mm.
lawyer, you get replaced by an AI.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of jobs, you know, artists already, like for my Substack, I'm just, when I want an illustration, like global warming, let's say, I just put it through an AI and it often comes up with beautiful, crazy, unique art. I can on Twitter actually just right now respond to your thread and like post an example of it. But it's very good stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So
Um,
that's my I guess my worry is that same thing, right? That it can be turned, and then I
mhm,
guess it can be turned by people who I'm not even necessarily bad, right? Because this goes to the most recent thing that's happened, which is the pandemic response, right?
mhm,
Our pandemic response, we're finding out now, in many cases, was insanely wrong.
mhm.
And most of the
Yeah.
people, I'm sure there's some exceptions, but most of the people who were fighting this and pushing this, they thought they were doing the right thing, right? Most of them
Mhm,
thought they were doing the right thing. They didn't believe they were hurting when many of them were really hurting. So
mhm.
now I have a tool of AI. Man, can I do some damage while I'm trying to help, right?
Right.
That is my other issue. We're giving people a tool. I'm go back to sci-fi. I'm sorry, I'm doing so much sci-fi stuff. There was a short story about a trial. And in this trial, this guy is talking about how he used this tool, this laser tool, to chop down trees. So during the trial, which is televised with the entire world, because it's a big like intellectual property thing, he literally explains how to make the most powerful laser in the world.
Mm,
Everybody hears it. A laser that's so powerful it could literally chop the earth in half.
wow.
Everyone on the earth just heard this. The judge goes nuts. What? Shut it all down. Oh my God, the world's ending. Everyone now has this technology. Oh my God, the world's ending. And I thought to myself, oh my God, one depressed 17-year-old and we're all done, right? That's what I was thinking, right? Well, now I'm giving a depressed 17-year-old AI. He or she, probably he, has nothing to do. They're sitting in their basement. They're not going to school. They're depressed. They're hating the world. What damage can they do?
Yeah. I think that's a very valid concern. Um, and there are going to be attempts to stop it. Like,
Yep.
they already, if you ask Chat GPT how to do something illegal, the creators have tried to get it to not tell you. Like if you're, how do I hotwire a car or something? It tries
Right.
to not, it doesn't tell you. But people even get around this. They say like, write me a fictional script with two characters, and one of them doesn't know how to hotwire the car, but the other gives them the secret. And it gives you that, then it tells you. So
That's
it's very
brilliant.
hard to control these things. Yeah.
Oh, you know what you just made me think of even worse now. Oh my God, Maxim, you're making this is gonna be like a downer show. Now the government can now frame people better. It can use
That's true. Yeah.
AI to entrap people like there's no tomorrow, then monitor it, entrap them, and then just go buy the thing, right? So now I talked about hot wiring the car, and I said to do it, you need whatever, a screwdriver. Then I monitor the guy's credit card. He buys a screwdriver. Conspiracy. Guy goes to jail. I got him talking to the
Yeah.
AI, and he bought the screwdriver. Conspiracy. He's in jail. Done deal.
Yeah, and definitely, the whole Minority Report thing where they were,
Yep.
predicting who's going to commit crimes. You can definitely see AI is getting good at predicting these things. And
All right, that's it. I'm moving to Fiji.
Yeah.
I'm moving to Fiji, Max. I'm out. I'm moving to Fiji. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if Elon goes to Mars, I might join him. I think I'm gonna go up there with him. I think I might go hang out in Mars now. But no, I mean, that part is scarier. And what do I mean by that? It's always bad when the average American loses their job or they get in trouble. But the average American is often kept in line by the elites, either through jail or through pacification of some sort. But a lot of our, I guess, professional management class, a lot of them have lots of power. A lot of them have lots of money. If they start losing their jobs too, I mean, right, they have resources, they have connections. This could go very poorly. And again, I'm going back to sci-fi. In the series Dune, right, which is now a newer movie on like HBO or something, and then it was a movie from the 80s. In that idea, I think it's Frank Herbert, I think, who wrote that one. For those who don't know, that's actually humans like 10,000 years in the future or something like that. And people wonder, well, why is there no AI? In that scenario, this fantasy world, that sci-fi world, they outlawed AI and destroyed them all because it was to take over the world. By the way, that's what happens in the end of Positronic Man also. They outlaw all AI. So in the end of both of those books, the answer is destroy AI.
Yeah,
that's the answer in both of those books.
That could end up being the answer here too. There are some AI experts, like a guy Eliezer Yudkowsky. He thinks, just don't touch it. No one should develop it. It should be banned. That's even if you and I were to decide that, it's easier said than done, because China, even if the US were to decide it, China's going to go ahead, then they're going to have the advantage on the battlefield because they'll have AI helping them. So it's going to happen probably pretty soon. The good news is for the next 5 or 10 years, I think, well, who knows how long, but maybe that, we'll still have humans with AI will be the most powerful. So it'll be people who know a little bit of coding can now make great programs thanks to AI.
Right.
And they'll do well. And artists will still be needed to guide the AI to make the exact right thing with the exact right prompt. You'll need creativity to tell it what you want and to come up with the cool computer programs or masterpieces that you want. So humans still have a role for a little while. No one knows the speed because a lot of these things are exponential. So once the AI can have some creativity and figure out how to improve its own workings, that's when it gets nuts.
Yes, that is what I'm most worried about. But guys, if you like what we're saying, do me a favor, click that like button. If you like it, click that like button and do it now if you can. It'd be great. If you are watching on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, retweet this so other people can see it. It does matter. If you can, please do so. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't subscribed yet, why do you hate me? I don't understand why you hate me. So subscribe already. And if you want to support the show, you can also super chat. The other way you can support the show freely is by going to theadvocates.org, taking one of those surveys or tests, and then sharing that online, making my sponsors happy. So either of those works. There are many ways you can do this to help out the show. Please pick one of them. They're all good, but pick one of them. It does matter. If you do none of them, you're as bad as a sociopathic AI. Don't do that. That would be bad. So I do want to go to that one last piece you just brought up, which is what happens when the AI can fix itself, right? When it can repair itself or get better or stronger or faster on its own. I feel like that becomes to a point to where what I think it's called the gray goo. Gray goo. This is called gray goo, where that it could simply you take the AI and then add on 3D printing, and it can just replicate itself and replicate until there's literally nothing left in the world, right? It could do that, right? AI doesn't require sunlight, right? It doesn't require, right, whatever. This is the the Matrix, right? Blocking out the sun, whatever. It doesn't require these things. It can do whatever it wants to do. It doesn't require, whatever, I don't know, McDonald's, right? It doesn't require that. It can just destroy everything if it wants to. I mean, it probably should destroy McDonald's, but I'm not. But anyway, that's the point. So yes. So I mean, this I guess becomes a problem also. But I guess where I'm going with this whole thing, which is I think how I tie it together, is the idea of us predicting what the future can be. And what I'd like us to use the election betting odds and any other predictor, along with AI, is in defense, in solving a problem versus just entertainment or ways to hotwire cars, right? Do you have any feeling on whether we are on our way to doing that or not? What's your gut say on this?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the next couple, putting aside the far out thing where the AI takes over the world, which is a real danger. But in the meantime, we're going to have a flourishing of productivity of people who have creative ideas. But right now it's like, they're like, I don't know coding and I can't like pay $60,000 to hire a coder for this project. So it just doesn't happen. But maybe they have a cool idea and now they can just go to openai.com, ask the AI to tell them how to do it. And they can do it that way. I think creative people will really flourish in the next couple of years using that. And we will get a lot of cool new services and technologies because of it. So yeah, I'm optimistic in like the very short run.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. So it's not that bad. There's some optimism.
Yeah.
Here.
We'll have a good run.
I have to do one last thing. And this is, if any of you happen to watch the CNN show, This Is Life with Lisa Ling, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I forgot when, a month ago, maybe, she did a special on the idea of AI becoming people's friends. So you can literally pay a fee, whatever the monthly fee is, and you go on your phone and there's like an animated person, right? It's an animation who says, hey, Maxim, I'm your buddy, right? I'm Harry, your friend. Can you talk to me? And as you talk to it, it learns and speaks back to you. And you feel like it's your friend. And people are having this virtual friend, a relationship with a virtual friend. This literally goes to what you were talking about earlier, Maxim, when I have empathy for something that is dark inside, that's blank, that's empty inside. This is just a bunch of ones and zeros. And now I have a human being who is saying, no, that's not ones and zeros, Maxim. You're the crazy one. This is a real person. This is my buddy Harry.
Yeah. Right.
But so that I don't like, but there's a second piece. Somebody programmed Harry and someone's recording everything that you're saying. So now I think, oh, Maxim looks like he's, Maxim just lost a buddy of his. So I think he's lonely now because I'm watching him because I'm FBI. So now I'll send him a little phishing thing to say, hey, you lost your friend who just, passed away from something terrible. Right. Let me send you a little chat that says Harry will be your friend. And now I'm recording all your deep, dark secrets as I start asking you about all your deep, dark stuff. I know I'm sounding terrible, Max. I know I am, but I'm anti-government. So that's what I always think.
Right. I think those are legitimate concerns. The movie Her.
Perfect.
This. Yeah. And I think it's something to worry about. Right now there's OnlyFans, and that's a little similar in that it's people seeking a connection, but they're paying for a fake connection. And the AI kind of takes out the middle person and just, you're like literally just with getting a fake connection from a computer. And I think it's not super healthy. I think maybe society will have to develop some norms like, hey, get your connection with a real other person who also has real feelings, and leave this AI alone. Use it to build programs and websites and art, but don't use it to pretend that you have a friend. Get a real friend.
Right. Wow. So tough. So harsh. So let me ask you, Maxim, did we miss anything? Is there something that we should have talked about did I skip over something?
Let's see. I think we covered most of it. On the election betting stuff, the government is banning PredictIt like right now. So it's operational today.
Because banning always works, Maxim. Once they ban, no one will ever bet again. So I'm glad that'll solve the problem.
Right. Yeah. So like today, people are betting there on who's going to win the election, but 30 days from now, it'll probably be dead. So that's just really annoying. It's the government doing what it does. But that's annoying. People are using crypto sites to bet. There's
Yeah.
Polymarket. They're very good. Americans need to use a VPN. I mean, it's not legal to trade there, but some are doing it anyway. And they're foreign sites, so we're going to keep aggregating those on election betting odds. But yeah, the government, as usual, it's like they don't care about innovation. They don't care about cool predicting the future. They're just like, well, there's a sort of a rule against it, so nope.
Well, no, I can validate my horrible actions and put people in jail and build out the prison industrial complex. Great. Thanks. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. I can hire even more enforcers for the FBI. Life is good. So yeah, they're completely happy about this. I'm sure. I'm totally sure about that. Well, guys, if you liked what you heard here, then please click that like button. It does matter. Share it to the best of your ability. It does matter. And Maxim gave me a whole hour tonight. I appreciate it. So support him back and follow him on Twitter. It's Maxim Lott. That if you're listening, it's Lott. Maxim Lott on Twitter. And if you want to follow him on Substack, he's got great stuff. The stuff I talked about is what I read in the Substack. It's great stuff. Please check it out. MaximumTruth.substack.com. Everybody, thank you so much for giving me a bit of time this evening. Maxim, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this was great. If you're ever playing a game of diplomacy, let me know. It sounds like fun.
Here we go. Yes,
I'll bring my AI friend.
I gotta see if I can get my Austria chops back on. If I can do it again, absolutely. See if I can do it again. So, guys, I will be on later on tonight. By the way, a special 9:30 this evening, talking to the LP chair of Arizona about what happened with the election results at 9:30 this evening. A special Libertarian Drinking Coffee Live, and tomorrow I'll be back on again at 7 p.m. Talking about what's my topic tomorrow. I got let's see if I can find it real fast. I do have a topic tomorrow. Oh yes, with the former producer for Tim Pool, Lydia, who is also known as Sour Patch Lids. She'll be on talking about her new endeavors and how to make sure that family and friends and business can all work together. Guys, thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate it. I will see you all